Hello! So today I'm going to be showing you all how to take a hand-drawn line art such as this that you may have taken a picture of with your phone and making it into a completed digitalized colored piece such as this without having too much hassle. So this was requested by someone who they want to upload I guess like script easily and effortlessly for people to use. So not a lot of people have access to high quality cameras because, high quality cameras are expensive. I mean, they can range anywhere from $300 to $1,000, if not more. I certainly don't have a high quality camera, but what I do have is a smartphone, and so do a lot of other people. So it's a lot easier to take pictures of your art with your phone. So you're probably wondering, well then how do you make something high quality with that? Because it's kind of hard to take a really nice photo and do all this. So I'm going to kind of go over that a bit, explain an easy way to turn something hand-drawn into something digital without having to pull your hair out. So I've been using SAI Paint Tool, which I highly recommend. I like it a lot better than Photoshop because it's just a lot easier to learn. Photoshop has a little bit too much in it for me personally, and it just feels kind of disorganized. This also takes up a lot less space in your computer, and it's a lot easier to upload. Some of the downsides are that SAI is more for drawing than it is for photo editing, so if you're looking for something with more photo editing, I do recommend Photoshop, but if you're looking for drawing and this is just something kind of simple to do that I'm pretty sure you can do in either program, SAI is a great way to go. You can always find a 90-day free trial, but if I'm going to be honest, I did find a legal copy to download. They gave me the full version for free many years ago. So if I do find a link, I'd be happy to share it. But of course, I'm going to recommend the legal way, which is to use that 90-day trial and then go ahead and purchase SAI from the original creator. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. I don't know about you guys, but I prefer to hand draw a lot of my line art. But I like the way digitalized coloring looks better. So that kind of creates this issue where I draw something black and white, such as this picture you see here in front of you, but coloring it kind of becomes a hassle, especially when I want to do something more digitalized. Digital colors, of course, are going to come out a lot more solid. You're not going to have so many brushstrokes unless you want to. And in my opinion, it's a little bit easier to control. If you like less control, then all to you. It's just, that's what I prefer, and it works well for this technique I'm about to show you. So the first thing and the most important thing is to take a nice clear photo of your artwork. Whether it be just script you've written and words that you want to upload and make into a font, whether it be something like this, even pencil drawings maybe that you want to turn into something more graphical and be able to color into your computer, make sure that you're taking that artwork and setting it somewhere flat with relatively no wrinkles, no shadows. It's best to use natural lighting. I actually took this picture in my office, which has very large windows and lets in lots of natural light. But the other favorite place for me is actually on the floor of my kitchen. The floor of my kitchen provides a nice neutral background, as well as there's lots of windows there as well to bring in that natural light and illuminate the page. So the best thing to do is to kind of make sure that this is all around even in color so that it's a lot easier to edit with. It's not impossible to upload something with shadows, it's just you're going to have to a lot more cleanup with it, which I can show you if you want, but we'll stick with this for now. So first what we're going to do, in SAI at least, of course if you know the equivalent on Photoshop or whatever program you're using, go for it. I'm just going to use my program I'm used to. So I'm going to go ahead and take this like square select tool. And I'm going to crop out the parts of the picture that I obviously don't need. I'm trying to get this as close to the photo as I can because I'm not really looking to have all this extra white space around because I'm going to make this transparent so I can color underneath it. So try and get close to it if you can. As you can see, I took the photo that way on purpose right here on the edge because I already knew that this is the technique I would be using. So then you're going to go ahead and I'm going to say Canvas Crop by Selection, and that'll crop that down to just the photo. So I'm going to zoom in a bit. One of the things that is a little unfortunate is that with phones, and it does kind of depend on the phone you have. I have a Galaxy S5, which is a bit outdated at this point. But it really does depend on how quality your photos come through and how many pixels and your resolution and everything. Mine's okay. It's not the best, but it'll get the job done. So once you've cropped the photo, you're going to go ahead and go to Filter. And this is going to be really important here. So you're going to go ahead and go to Saturate, Hue and Saturation. Now, I drew this on the back of some work paper, so if you look closely, you'll see that there's actually highlighter here, orange highlighter, that has bled through the paper that I drew on. I don't want that in my photo. It's not important to the photo, and it's not what I need. So we're going to go ahead and take this saturation and put it all the way to the bottom. You don't want any color in this if you're doing line work. You want it to be completely stark black and white. Or grayscale. So once you've done that, So once you've done that, go ahead and press OK. Then you're going to go to Filter again, and you can go to Brightness and Contrast. So you really want the black to stand out against that white. You want it to be black and white, and you want it to be pretty harsh. So I'm just messing around with these a bit. Sometimes if I have a piece that is a bit shadowy, I'll kind of mess with the brightness and luminescence. That's what I was doing, is just to see if it needed it. This piece in particular doesn't. Again, I have some pictures where it kind of did, and it did make a bit of a difference, but for the most part, adding brightness or illumination is just going to kind of dull out your blacks. You kind of want to avoid that. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that contrast all the way up. So now you can see that it's literally just black and white. There is no more highlighter mess, no more shadows. It's pretty solid black and white, except for maybe down here where you see some of the lines left over from where I couldn't quite crop them out. And that's the cleanup that's going to happen if you take a photo with some shadows in it, or lines, or wrinkles. You're going to have to erase these and get rid of them. In this one, it's pretty minor, so it's not a big deal. I have no problem with that. So I'm going to go ahead and press OK, and we're going to leave it like that. Now, the important thing to this is that you want to add color. Normally, this gets you a nice good base, but the thing that makes it difficult is you have to try and color without going over these lines. When normally you can make a layer, right, and color under the lines. And that's what makes this the most difficult normally. Like, changing the saturations and things is the easy part, coloring it is the hard part. So I'm going to show you how to make it easy to color, and it's actually the simplest step there is. You're going to actually go ahead and go to Layer, and you're going to hit this. It says Luminance to Transparency. What this does is anything that is a luminant color, such as white, is going to be made transparent. Now, if you're doing a grayscale project, be aware that anything that is gray will now have some, it'll have a lower opacity. So stuff will show up underneath it. And that's just something to keep in mind. That's why it's important to put that contrast all the way up and only have black and white when you're doing this. If you don't mind a little bit of transparency, maybe because you did a pencil sketch and you still kind of want it to look pencil-like, you can go ahead and when you do that contrast, don't put it up quite all the way. Leave it lower a little bit, because otherwise it's going to turn all your grays into blacks. So I'm going to go ahead and press Luminance to Transparency. So what that did is that now all the white parts of this image are transparent. So I'm going to create a new layer. As you can see, I did over here on the left, and I'm going to color right underneath it. So I do have my tablet next to me here. Sorry, it's registering for a second. I'm going to go ahead and put this up to a nice bright color just so it's easy to see when I color here. So I'm going to do red. Go to my pen. And notice now it shows up underneath the line art. And I can erase it, and it doesn't erase my line art. Versus, normally, without this option, you would have to color directly onto the layer, and you'd have to try and avoid getting within these lines. And if you go over, you're kind of out of luck. So that's no longer an issue. Now, the other issue that does kind of arise is that because of the low resolution of my camera, is that this does sometimes look a little bit pixely. And unfortunately, it's not 100% avoidable, and you can actually still kind of see it even in this finished image that I colored quite some time ago. If you look closely, you'll kind of see it's still a bit pixely. But what's nice is that now what you can do is that, in case you're wondering how I got into this big canvas and all that, the nice thing here is that you can go to canvas, change size. I'm going to increase it by 200%, so I'm going to make it 300% here. And that should give me a nice big canvas, just like that. And I want this picture to be a bit bigger, because at its current size, it's going to show up a bit small. So actually first, I almost forgot, we're actually going to come in here, we're going to erase these bits I don't need and just kind of clean them up. Also up here, from where there was a hole punch in the paper. And yeah, there we go. So then what you can do is you can go ahead and you can select that image, and if you come over here to the right, you'll notice you have some options. Transform, scale, deform, and rotate. So I'm going to go ahead and scale it. That'll let me change its size. It puts a nice box around it, it finds it and selects it, and now I can change that size. Again, the more you expand it, the more pixely it'll get, but the nice thing is about using a professional program like SAI or Photoshop is it'll kind of become aware of that a bit and try to round it out a little and make it a little softer. Not completely avoidable, but it's manageable. So once I've done that, now it's a lot bigger. If I was to print this out, instead of being a tiny box in the center, it would come out pretty much the full page, which makes it a lot better for putting on designs like t-shirts and things, and all that jazz. So, the other nice thing about doing this too is it also makes it a lot easier to fix up bits and pieces of your line art. So a good example here is that with the pen, it was kind of hard, the pen I was using, to get some of these thin action lines here. As you can see, there's black parts that kind of overlap or white parts that aren't quite lined up. So I could go in there and clean those up if I wanted to. And if you look at this picture, that's exactly what I did. You'll notice here that these white lines are a lot clearer and crisper, and in fact, zoomed in, you can even tell that there's a difference. These ones over here were obviously hand-drawn and then scaled because they're a bit pixely, and these ones over here were obviously painted in. They're a bit sketchy, but from far away you can't really tell, which is why I didn't really bother making them too nice. So that's the other nice thing too, because again, if you have a solid picture that isn't luminescent, when you go in there to erase, what's going to happen is that you're actually erasing white as well. So you have to remember to go in there and fill those things in, or you're going to get these weird patchy spots where you've like erased the white in the background. By doing the luminance to transparency, there is no longer a white background, it is now a transparent background. And that's just it just makes everything so much easier to do that way. So again, you know, you can go ahead and color and everything. And again, this works excellent for text, it works excellent for line drawings. It's a really great, useful tip for your drawing in SAI, and I have no doubt that there's probably an option for this in Photoshop as well. So yeah, there you go. That is my tutorial today, my little simple how-to for turning your ink drawings or ink text into transparent and editable digital works. Hope you enjoyed, and have a good one.